Guess what we're going to talk about today? It's a hot potato topic. Central bank digital currencies. Are they actually going to make a difference? Are they going to be good or bad? I know one thing. They're going to be a hot potato subject for today's video. Everybody, Backyard Bullion here. Do excuse the opening. I thought I'd do something a little bit different, as I am going to talk today about central bank digital currencies, which I know is going to be a hot potato topic. So do you know what? Bring it on. I'd love to hear what you think down in that comment section. I'm going to talk today a little bit about what I think about central bank digital currencies and how they relate to gold and silver, and address some of the more sort of outlandish worries, I guess, that a lot of silver and gold stackers have about the future of digital currencies and how it will affect gold and silver. So, you know, there's going to be splitting of opinion. As I said, that hot potato, which has now conveniently cooled down after doing that little fun intro, is, I think, it's going to be telling, see how we get on in the comments. But anyway, love to hear from you down below, and whether you agree with me or not, it's great to just see if you like this video or dislike it. I don't really mind either way, because this is going to split opinion. So, what do I think about central bank digital currencies? Well, I think if a lot of you have already talked about it on my channel before, and I've kind of not really done a really in-depth video about it, but I have talked about it in passing on some bits of different videos, you'll probably know that I don't really care too much about it. Now, does it mean that I am fully on side with central bank digital currencies and what they're going to do for our money in the future? No, I am equally as concerned as a lot of you out there about the privacy concerns and potential for, you know, banks out there to just print money ad infinitum. So I'm definitely skeptical about how useful or good they're going to be in this world in terms of monetary control and the ability for governments to really control things like inflation with them. I think normal cash, normal banks, money will be still king for a very long time. In terms of actual physical cash, money in the bank, money that comes out of your pocket that you can use in shops or even in a local coin store to buy gold and silver, that's not going anywhere. That is not going anywhere. If you look at any of the literature for any of the different institutions around the world that are implementing central bank digital currencies or like the Fed Now payment system, it's completely separate to the world of cash, and it's alongside cash. It's not going to replace it. Now, one day it might replace it when we have a situation in society where there is no need anymore for cash. And that's exactly what all of the various different institutions, including the Bank of England and the Fed and all those big jazzy names out there in the world, have said, that it is always a part of the bigger system, and cash is important and will play a role for as long as it is needed within society. And I have no doubt that that need will continue to happen for a very long time. So there's a lot to be worried about, yes, in terms of like the ability for governments just to make money up on the spot. But let's be quite frank, they do that anyway. We've been off the gold standard for, well, 50, 60 years for the US, and even longer in the United Kingdom, and around the world globally, the gold standard really hasn't been a thing that is of interest or concern to people. It's just a bygone monetary control system of an era gone by, and we're in a different world now that just doesn't and can't cope with the gold standard, quite frankly. It would be too debilitating for normal financial measures. If we had been on the gold standard when, you know, inflation has started rearing its ugly head with COVID, there wouldn't have been the ability to protect and throw cash at people who actually needed it when they weren't able to work. The solution really in a world of COVID, if you're all on the gold standard, is millions of people are going to die, because you can't just shut down everybody and tell them not to go to work. And what's the solution otherwise? You give them support, and that has to happen through just currency creation. And that's always going to be the case in the modern world now. We're too big to go back to that gold standard. There isn't enough gold and silver out there to, you know, warrant it, basically. You'd have to revalue gold or silver at absolutely exorbitant heights, which is just not going to happen. So, in terms of central bank digital currencies and their immediate impact on us, there will be none. There will be absolutely none, because quite frankly, all of our transactions right now that we make on debit or credit cards or even banks transfers. And yes, I did say credit cards. I have a bit of man flu today. But anyway, look, the point is everything that's happening right now in this world, banking-wise, is tracked. It can be tracked. It will be tracked if needed. So the idea of privacy and the lack of it with central bank digital currencies, I feel, is a somewhat moot argument because, quite frankly, we don't have that privacy that people think that we do now. The only privacy that you tangibly could have is paying for things in physical cash right now. But the problem therein lies that even physical cash, certainly in larger sums, is not untraceable. You know, if you go to your local coin store and you buy a bunch of gold, let's say, and you take out $20,000 in cash or pounds in cash from your bank, which is not impossible to do, it just takes a bit of time and preparation. And then you go into that coin store and you buy a bunch of gold. There's a record that you took all that cash out. Where are you going to get that cash? If you go to the local coin store and you pay for that much in cash, they have a duty to report it. They probably will report it. They'll have it on their books as Joe Bloggs came in and bought $20,000 worth of gold. That is a record of that transaction. And for most dealers at a certain threshold, it's law to do that. And if they don't, then they're risking way more than just their own privacy, for example. So this notion that we are losing our privacy, I feel, is a little bit of a counterintuitive argument. The next thing that I always have heard is that the central bank digital currencies will ban the various transactions of X, Y, and Z, and we won't be able to buy our gold anymore because they'll say no. The bank, well, not the bank, the government will have their greasy little paws on everything that we can and cannot buy. And again, that is incredibly unlikely for gold and silver. Like, it would require a monetary policy for the banning of the ownership of gold and silver, because ultimately you can go and buy it still with the traditional banking or with cash. So just because you can't buy it with the digital currency is not going to stop people from doing it. The only thing that will stop people from doing it is a sort of national global confiscation of gold and silver. And that's just not going to happen anytime soon. We're way past the time in this world. Like I said, for the sort of gold standard, we're way past that time in history for nations to really be concerned about, stealing all the gold from everybody in society so they've got enough within Fort Knox to back the dollar. There just isn't enough, and it won't happen. It won't happen at all. So the idea that a central bank digital currency will block and ban you buying gold and silver because the government feels that you are taking money out of the system and you won't be able to use cash because cash won't exist because the central bank digital currency is going to be cash. It's just not true. Now look, the central bank digital currency system, CBDCs, are not perfect, and they will not be perfect for a very long time, and cash and traditional banks transfers will certainly be something that people will need and will use and still need to use for a very long period of time. There is not an overnight solution to any of these, and it may very well be that in 50, 60, 100 years down the line, when we are a society that has evolved to not need cash in the traditional physical banknote form anymore, that we do just use the CBDCs, and they might look very different by the time we get there into the future. So I have absolutely zero concerns beyond the ability for these governments to basically make up money. But to be quite honest, they still do that anyway. They just add zeros onto the debt ceiling. They add so much national debt every year. That's the topic in a video for perhaps another time, or even another channel entirely with its different ethos and mantra about spending and deficits and all of that. I'm not going to get into any more detail on that beyond to say that I own gold and silver to counter those very things that could happen down the line in our society. So will CBDCs stop me from buying gold and silver? No. Will they ban the purchase of gold and silver with them? No, they won't. And even if they did, they're not going to ban it from everything else. So am I still going to buy gold and silver? Am I going to buy gold and silver with the central bank digital currency if and when it comes out at some point in the future? I don't see it as any different to cash right now. And indeed, what I do see as different is the ability for that to be literally an instant payment. So one thing that I have frequently lambasted various banks about is that the slower wire transfers or automated clearinghouse transfers. In the UK, we have faster payments for most things, so it's almost instant, but sometimes it's not, and sometimes it can take quite a while to get through to the other side. And if you're doing larger sums, some banks, the limit is maybe 20,000 a day. If you're buying a big car or house or something, and you've got to do these wire transfers essentially, or CHAPS transfers as they're called, they can take an awful long time, and they cost money to go through. And that is what the central bank digital currencies are really going to be good for. They're going to be modernizing the monetary system of how we pay for things quickly, instantly, securely. And the whole system that we have right now is archaic. It's not fit for purpose on the global scheme. And if you might be thinking, well, it's not really, I'm just a small individual person. I don't have to make a $100,000 or £100,000 payment very often. Well, it's not necessarily just about you individually and how you purchase and buy things down at the shops. It's about how those businesses spend that cash, how they get that supply chain done efficiently without having to go through all of these extra laborious time processing steps to get things done. It will make things quicker, easier, simpler. And that should theoretically infuse a bit of growth into the economy. If banks and businesses can bank quicker and easier without having all of these issues, then perhaps, just perhaps, it's a good thing. So that's basically my thoughts. So the hot potato, which is now, I think, somewhat cooled, although I guess if I head down to that comment section, it's going to be a big hot potato subject. And you know what? That's absolutely fine. I have never been on this channel somebody to just harp on about conspiracy theories and the shock, horror, FOMO topics. And I hope that this video here demonstrates that whilst am not too concerned about central bank digital currencies, I also don't view them ridiculously as a hot potato topic. I think that there are things to be worried about, but there are not, apocalyptic style things down the road that are going to happen for gold and silver. We're still going to be able to buy it, don't worry. And I'm certainly still going to be buying gold and silver going forwards. I'm not too concerned about central bank digital currencies really lampooning my ability. That's a good one. Lampooning my ability to buy the precious metals. Not going to happen at all. And will it replace cash? No, of course it won't replace cash. So for those of you who, and I've said this before as well in comments to lots of other people, quite frankly, I have nothing to hide in my transactions that I use for everything. I don't go and buy legal goods. I'm not going to go and snort all that white powder up my nose and do God knows what else with my money. I'm not, sending it offshore to some Ponzi scheme that's making me not pay taxes and everything. So I don't have anything to hide. It's like, whatever. If it prevents people from breaking the law, then surely that's a good thing. But the people out there that are like, no, we must have the right to be able to break the law if we want to. What? I mean, that's one of the silliest arguments of all of the arguments that I've heard. And I remember when I did my bank video a few weeks ago, I got in a little chat. I can't remember the exact name of the person. I'll probably be able to find it. But I was like, he said, they're going to ban the purchase of black market goods. And I'm like, yeah, isn't that a good thing? Do you want the ability to access the black market? Of course I do. I want the right to be able to do it. And it's like, what? You want the right to be able to break the law? That just doesn't make sense at all. And quite frankly, if, the CBDCs will stop certain black market illegal trades, that's only a good thing. If they will stop businesses from committing VAT fraud, which is a very common thing, then great, bring it on. If they stop individuals from avoiding tax and, being able to harbour and take all their cash out the system and put it in a Swiss bank account somewhere, brilliant, bring it on. I really do not have anything to worry about or hide. And if you do, then I can see exactly why you're worried about central bank digital currencies. So look, that's my thoughts. It's probably going to be different to the vast majority of people who stack gold and silver, quite frankly. And look, again, to reiterate my point, I am concerned that they will be able to just print money ad infinitum. It will just be numbers on a screen. But quite frankly, that's no different to how things are right now. What really matters to me is that we are still able to survive as a society and get on with life. That's all that I care about. And if central bank digital currencies are going to be able to help us as a society do that, then I say bring it on. So anyway, look, that's going to be the hot potato is commenceth. Go on then, let's hear your thoughts down in the comments. Now, if you've watched to the back end of the video, you're probably not going to be quite as combative as some of those people down there. And what I would say is if you do see people being rather obtuse or just flat out rude and well, there are other words I could use to describe, then don't engage, don't worry about it. Like, if any of the silly comments down there are done respectfully with a good healthy debate, I will quite happily debate them all day long. But if there's just idiots down there shouting, just ignore them, I'll get to them and they'll just be gone. Otherwise, a big thank you to my ramblers out there for listening to me mumble on about things. It's great to hear from you as well down in the comments, even if you disagree with me. Do you know what? I'm just here to present my own opinion, and it's great to hear from you if you're down there. Otherwise, that's it. We'll see you on the next one next week. Thanks all for watching. As always, please make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.